Hello everyone, this is author, motivational speaker, and dating coach. Bring you a video tonight titled, Masculinity Can Never Be Compromised for Beauty. But before we go any further, always know my videos in the dating space. They're inspired by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life. In addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. And to everyone who's ordered your copies, I sent everything out on Friday, and you should be getting them relatively quickly, maybe midway through the week at best. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to help me to get pushed up the algorithm so I can continue to bring you these elevated messages. Well, let's get right to it. Masculinity can never be compromised for beauty. And this video has been brought about through conversations I've been having on my coaching calls with clients, and I'm beginning to see a common theme. And before I even get into it, just know that if you get a coaching call from me, it's a safe space in that, I'm never going to individually talk about who you are in these videos, but you know who you are. And I derive a lot of my subject matter just through the intricacies of what you all are facing and the challenges you're looking to overcome in the dating space. So I recently had a coaching call, and a gentleman was having a segment of women that were checking for him through lust and desire, and he aspired for a more beautiful type of woman that he could consistently interact with, because his experiences with that type of woman, they were, teetering from non-existent to intermittent. And that's what happens when you don't fully embrace your masculinity, is that, you're gonna meet beautiful women, but you don't quite know how to operate in this space. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. And what I see a lot of these gentlemen do is that they meet a woman that they believe in their depth of their heart is out of their league. And subsequently, what they do is they begin to offer women things, not knowing them, not having had any sexual experience with them. They begin to offer women things to remain in their space. And that's backwards, because masculinity approaches every woman with the full understanding that you are the offering and that you are the gift, and that there's nothing tangible that you're going to offer any woman, because her connection to you in a healthy way is always going to be in the realm of the intangible. The intangible is lust and desire. It's really that simple. Your dating pool of women that you should be dealing with are women who come to you with lust and desire. Lust gets her in your space. Desire keeps her there, if you're a masculine man. And so the frustration that a lot of men are dealing with is simply because they're giving women offerings, hoping that they're going to get a return, and they don't get the return that they're looking for, so they end up frustrated. Frustration with beautiful women is a byproduct of you not giving yourself to women. You're giving them incentives and offerings to remain in your space. So you're immediately creating an imbalanced atmosphere and an experience. And that's why you're frustrated, because you're giving these women things, trying to coerce them to come to your side, because you're not the man that they're looking for. Every man that gives a woman an offering, a beautiful woman an offering, that same woman has men in her space that she's freely given herself to through intangibles of lust and desire, and an offering, a tangible offering, is not a requirement. Masculinity feels imbalanced, and as soon as imbalance is present, masculinity disappears. So a lot of the frustration of men is based on imbalance, because they're overextending themselves. They're going too far to the woman's side to try to convince them to stay there. And it shouldn't be that way. Masculine men understand that they are enough. They're enough. And, I'm trying to reframe the focus of a lot of the men that call me for coaching calls, because a lot of these men have done some real work on themselves, and they're beginning to get results. And there's a frustration because they don't have a aligned perspective and value for the women who are coming to them with lust and desire. Those are the intangibles that set the stage for an enjoyable experience that's not frustrating. But a lot of these men, they have these women that they're attracted to that are coming at them the right way with lust and desire, but they aspire for a woman who looks better than them, a more beautiful woman. And that's where the frustration is, because they approach a segment of women as enough. They're not overextending themselves. But then they have another segment, an echelon of women that are more beautiful, that they're overextending themselves to. So they're treating different women differently. And the frustration is that they're saying things like, I gave her everything that women say that they want, and I'm doing what I believe is best to do. And all of these things are in the material world. They're giving women offerings. Let me take you on a trip. Let me take you to dinner. Let me take you here. And they believe that the more beautiful woman is out of their league, and that's why they're giving her offerings. And then they give her the offering, and they don't get the return that they really want. And they end up frustrated. So that's what I'm really talking about, is how to not end up frustrated. You have to understand that masculinity is never frustrated. Masculinity only deals with the women that are checking for him exactly the way that he's checking for her. There's no imbalance. Frustration is a byproduct of imbalance, meaning you're overextending yourself, you're crossing your fingers, wishing and hoping that she comes to your side the way that you want to come to her side. That's coercion. And that leads to frustration. But the beautiful thing about this is that a masculine man has an understanding of balance. A masculine man has an understanding of balance, and he doesn't operate outside of the balance, meaning that he is enough. He's only offering himself. And if the woman doesn't deem him and himself as enough, then he disappears from her space. But that's where the frustration is that you went too far to her side. You gave her offerings before you even knew how she views you. So you're taking an inferior position with the woman, and you are creating an imbalanced situation immediately when you overextend yourself and you offer her things from the material world. Because once again, every woman that you deem is beautiful, that you're going to treat differently, you're going to give her more than the women that are checking for you, that only leads to a road of frustration. And those women freely give themselves to men. Even though she's beautiful, she's not abstinent, meaning that she has a segment of men that she deals with on the level of not operating in the tangible world, meaning that she has men that don't have to offer her tangible things. The intangible is enough, meaning he is enough. And so if you're not enough for a beautiful woman, and she doesn't come to your side after you only offered yourself, it's okay. You shouldn't even remember her. Masculinity has a short memory of women who did not reciprocate and give him everything that he was giving to her. Masculinity doesn't overextend himself. So when you offered yourself to the woman, you showed your interest, and she didn't reciprocate the interest, yeah, she's going to disappear, and you should disappear, because she's not attracted to you in a non-tangible manner, meaning she doesn't have lust and desire for you. Masculinity gets off right there. And the thing about women is that women are naturally inclined to manipulate, because they don't have the physical prowess and posture that a man has. A man can physically impose himself on the world. Women can't do that. So they have to resort to manipulation. But if you're trying to offer something to a woman to convince her to give you the experience that you want, you're trying to coerce her. And in essence, you're trying to manipulate her. And so you're operating in her energy. Her energy is manipulative because she's a female. She can't physically impose herself on life and get the results that she wants. So if you have to go to her side and coerce her and convince her, then you're actually committing a crime against your masculinity, and you're operating in the feminine. It's manipulation. And that's why you're frustrated, because your manipulation didn't work. But you don't have to engage in manipulation if you're operating in masculinity. Masculinity just offers himself, man. Masculinity has taken a full depth and inventory of himself and developed himself into the man that can get the outcomes that he wants from life, not just with beautiful women. Masculinity is not a lazy proposition. Masculinity requires work. Masculinity requires humility, that you have to stare at exactly where you are, the kind of women that you're getting, and you have to ask yourself, do you want more elevated and beautiful women? And then you have to stare at yourself and be real in terms of, are you consistently interacting with these women, and are these women choosing you in a non-tangible manner with lust and desire? Lust and desire is the currency of the sexually attractive masculine man. If it is not present, lust and desire, then the masculine man disappears and he does not remember her name. And the last coaching client I had, I always give my clients the best. So I give them recent experiences that I've had. And I had a girl that was 18 years younger than me. And we matched on a dating app, and she was pretty. You know, she was young. You know how I prefer my women. And I gave her a proposition that was aligned with my masculinity. I told her exactly what we could do, but I also talked to her in terms of the reality of the desire that I had for her, in terms of where we could possibly go. Meaning that I was not going to get ahead of the connection, because the connection is needed to go further with any woman if you're masculine. But I told her what she needed to do fundamentally to get in my space, how we needed to operate, and how that was a representation of the best experiences that I have with women when they offer themselves to me, and when we don't have to go a roundabout way to end up in a physical destination. And right on cue, she's just like, most men don't talk that straight. Most men aren't that in tune with themselves to speak to me this way. And it was intriguing. And she said, you know what? I'll think about it. Because she was attractive enough. We got off the messenger and we hopped on a video call, and we had a really good conversation. And so she was intrigued. She was extremely attracted to me. But that wasn't enough, because my proposition was in the realm of the non-tangible world. Meaning I told her what we had to do before we could explore anything further. And she said she would think about it. And she hit me up the next day and was just like, I'm not quite, ready for that. I'm not quite aligned with that. But I had a very short memory of her, because I know that there are men that she meets that she will involuntarily, through lust and desire, do certain things without any offering from the material world. Without any, we need to get to know each other more, and we need to take our time and learn about one another. That's what women say when they're looking for an offering from the material world. And so I was telling my coaching client that I didn't remember her until you and I were having this conversation, because I was trying to validate a point that I was making. And I said, yeah, she said that wasn't what she was looking for, meaning that I wasn't the man she wanted to do it with, because she's done it with other men. But masculinity is solidified in the experience that he wants to have with every beautiful woman. And so I just let her go. Nice to meet you. And that was the end of it. Never thought about her again until I hopped on a coaching call with my client. And I told him that you shouldn't be frustrated. You shouldn't have frustration be the catalyst for us to be on the phone right now, because you're supposed to have a short memory of women who don't give you exactly what you're giving to them. And the women who are giving you the experience that you want, these women should be amplified in your mind and in your spirit. Meaning that you should never be in a state of frustration because you are satisfied, because you have a segment of women that you're attracted to. Maybe not overly attracted, but attracted to enough that they're in your space and you're dealing with them, and you have a peaceful and calm energy about yourself, because you're operating in masculinity. Masculinity is always at peace. Masculinity is never frustrated. Never frustrated. And as a man, you have to be real with yourself. There are women who are more attractive that you have not been able to consistently have experiences with. And that's perfectly fine if you want to be with them. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to understand that you're not ready for the more beautiful women until you're willing to approach them with a take it or leave it attitude. You can't have a take it or leave it attitude until you've made a proclamation of masculinity. Masculinity, once again, I'm not going to give her anything more than she's given to me. So, considering that you already have women that are checking for you, you've made improvements, you're dealing with them, then when you approach the more beautiful woman, then your energy should really be take it or leave it. Meaning that if she takes it, she gets in your space. If she leaves it, you're not going to remember her. And that's what's happening on these coaching calls. These men are feeling the sting and the brunt of women that they lost because those women were requiring things from them above in the material world. They wanted offerings, and they were telling these men, "You haven't quite graduated to dealing with women who look like me." And they want those women, and that's perfectly fine, but you have to work on yourself. You have to work on yourself, and you have to go into their space as a masculine man. So the cornerstone of getting more beautiful women is just operating in full masculinity. That's it. You have to operate in full masculinity. You can't be intermittent in terms of your development. You can't deny your masculinity and think that you're going to increase in your masculinity at the same time. It doesn't work that way. Masculinity is a fully committed proposition. Masculinity says, okay, I want a certain type of woman, but if that's the kind of woman that you really want, then you have to abandon all other women who are not a representation of her. That means you have to be willing to go without. And you have to be willing to work on yourself until you can exclusively deal with the kind of women that you want to deal with. But that's a slippery slope because as you improve yourself, every man is going to have a tribe. Shout out to Ron Wills. You're going to have a tribe. You're going to have a segment of women that are choosing you. And that's what leads you to not being frustrated. But if a woman is technically outside of that tribe and you approach her in masculinity, which is take it or leave it, even though she might be more beautiful than the women that you're dealing with, you don't feel her absence. She's just a woman who didn't see you the way that you see yourself. It's really that simple. And you just keep approaching every woman the same. You're not masculine until every woman looks the same. You're not masculine until every woman looks the same. They physically look different, but the catalyst for congruency in terms of how they're the same is that they're all giving you the same treatment in accordance with how you see yourself. Those are the women that the masculine men will deal with. And so you'll have like a scope of women, some extremely beautiful, some are attractive, but they're all giving you the same experience, so they all look the same. And if a woman looks different, then you're going to feel her absence when she doesn't want to come into your space. And that means you're not operating in masculinity. Masculinity is a cure-all. Masculinity is your answer to have a balanced experience with women and to have a balanced experience in life. It's purely masculinity, meaning that you've embraced yourself enough to say, I'm not going to overextend myself. That's it. And the segment of women that you should deal with are women who you do not have to compromise your masculinity in order to enter and remain in their space. If you have to abandon your masculinity and overextend yourself, then you're abandoning your masculinity. Nothing good comes from abandoning your masculinity because the woman knows that you value her above yourself. And you're her plaything at that point. She'll never respect you because she knows that she offers herself to men that she's that sexually attracted to. They don't have to do the things that she's asking you to do. And when you're a masculine man, you understand that and you get the hell out of there. So nothing good comes from abandoning your masculinity. You're either masculine or you're frustrated. You're either masculine or you're frustrated. Frustrated means I'm going to give the woman offerings, cross my finger, and hope that she gives me everything that I want from her. That's a frustrating experience. And even though a masculine man can get rejected by a beautiful woman, he's not frustrated. He doesn't feel the sting or the brunt of it because he regularly has attractive and beautiful women in his space that are giving him exactly what he desires. That's when you're masculine. You can't dictate a woman's desire for you. You can only dictate the fact that you're only going to deal with women who lust and desire you. A masculine man is in full control of himself. He doesn't feel the absence of any woman that's not coming toward him the way that he's coming toward her. She's just another woman who didn't see him the way that he saw himself. Real simple, real fundamental. And so masculinity is a practice. Masculinity is never frustrated because his mantra and his practice is only dealing with women that see him exactly the way that he sees himself and gives him the exact experiences that align with the man that he's become. That's masculinity. So masculinity is never frustrated. And so beauty can never compromise his masculinity. And women, they're going to be very intrigued when you let them go, especially if they look good and society calls them beautiful and gorgeous, because they're not coming across many masculine men. Most men are operating in their feminine. They might call themselves alpha and all kind of goofy terms like that, but if you really peel back the layers of their life, the women in their space, they've offered them things outside of themselves. They've traded the intangible for the tangible, and they've led themselves to a frustrated position. And so you might look at him and say, oh, he has this girl around him and she looks good and this and that, but you never know what he had to do to get and remain in her space. So you just never want to compromise your masculinity. That's the whole point of what I'm saying tonight. You all need to embrace the reality that masculinity is going to anchor your life. It's going to give you a level playing ground, something that is peaceful, enjoyable, and it's not going to be frustrating. Frustration only comes when you compromise your masculinity. Frustration only comes when you believe beautiful women are above you. You're not ready to deal with beautiful women until it's take it or leave it. That's when you're ready to deal with beautiful women, because the right beautiful women are going to enter and remain in your space. Lust is a proposition that gets her in your space. Desire is a proposition that keeps her there. Every woman in your life should lust and desire you. That's it. Every woman in your life should lust and desire you. It's really that simple. And if you want a more attractive woman, then you have to accept the reality that you're going to have to work on yourself, man. This is a value and a non-lazy proposition. You're going to have to work on yourself until you have appeal to the kind of woman that you really want. You have to work on yourself. It's not easy. You have to take a very poignant and consistent effort in your everyday life to get the optimal outcomes that you want. Life just doesn't give you things. Life gives you everything that you've become. And so avoid the frustration by becoming. Okay, this woman looks a certain way, and a continuum of women who look just like her, they're denying you. They're denying your offerings that you're giving to her. Who cares? Work on yourself. Understand that the proposition of masculinity is ever evolving. It's consistent. It's a daily effort. And if you work on yourself, I don't care if you're 5'7" or 6'7", you have to be honest with yourself in terms of the version of yourself that you need to present to the world every day to get to the outcomes that you want. Masculinity does not engage in manipulation. Masculinity does not do things to compromise masculinity. Masculinity just accepts where he is and where he wants to go and the subsequent things that you have to do in order to get there. So that's all I wanted to talk about tonight, is embracing masculinity and understanding that beauty is not a proposition that should allow you to abandon your masculinity. And if you can abandon your masculinity and your first instinct is to give beautiful women offerings to come to your side and to get in your space, you need to take a deeper dive into your masculinity. And once you truly become masculine, you can approach those beautiful women and your attitude and your energy is take it or leave it. Meaning that if she comes to my side, we can continue the interaction. If she has lust and desire for me, we can continue the interaction. But if she doesn't, then I will abandon her and I will never think about her again, because I'm regularly swimming in the sea of women who view me the way that I view myself. So have an appreciation for the women who view you the way that you view yourself. Have an appreciation for the women that you can call and you know that she's going to give you the exact experience that you want. That's your dating pool. And if you're trying to operate outside of your dating pool, you're only going to land in a frustrating position, because those women are going to require offerings from you. And you give them offerings, and then you end up frustrated when they don't give you the experience that you were looking for from her. So embrace the women that are giving you the experiences that you want. And it's okay to aspire for more. Just become the man that is recognizable to her, that her lust and her desire is activated, and she's going to enter your space in a balanced manner. Embrace your masculinity, and you'll never be frustrated because you only have an eye for balance. This has been Matthew C. Horne, author, motivational speaker, and dating coach, bringing you a video tonight titled Masculinity Can Never Be Compromised for Beauty. It's brought to you by my books, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life, in addition to How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. They're both available at my website, www.matthewchorne.com. Get your copies. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to continue to push me with the algorithm so I can continue to bring you these elevated messages. And if you want a custom video, a particular topic that you want me to speak on, then I want you to make a donation of $50 or more to my PayPal or my Cash App, and leave your subject that you want me to talk about in a note on PayPal or Cash App when you make your donation, and your video will be up on my channel, Matthew C. Horne Dating, on YouTube in 24 hours or less. If your topic that you want me to speak about is more in depth than just leaving a note, then make your donation of $50 or more to my PayPal or my Cash App that's in my video description, and email me at matt@matthewchorne.com and leave your in-depth description of what you want me to talk about. I will do a full analysis and your video will be up. I will give you every answer that you're looking for. It'll be up on my channel in 24 hours or less. If my message has been of value to you, and you know that your thought process have been elevated as a result of encountering my message, then drop something in my donation information. How have I impacted you? Donate according to that. No dollar amount. Just show your love, man, because I'm showing y'all some love. And if you're in need of coaching, don't forget to email me at matt@matthewchorne.com. Leave coaching in the subject matter, and leave your name, your phone number, and whatever issue that you're facing in the dating space that you would like to overcome. Leave that in the email body, and then I will do an assessment, and I will contact you immediately, and I will bring the terms of the coaching right to you. And if you agree to the terms, the coaching will begin immediately. And that's pretty much all I have for you. Just remember and understand that masculinity is never compromised for beauty. Never. That woman that's truly beautiful, she's looking at you the way that you view yourself. And if you aspire for more, if you want more attractive women, become a more attractive man. Masculinity is not a lazy proposition. You have to work on yourself to get the outcomes that you want, not just with women, but in life in general. Embrace that. There's nothing that you can do to improve yourself in the material world that's going to consistently get you outcomes with the kind of women that you want. The material world is imbalanced and it's fleeting. Intangibles are how you develop yourself from the inside out. Don't step to that beautiful woman until you've embraced yourself from the inside out. Your attitude, your energy is take it or leave it. And you're satisfied with the women who are checking for you the way that you're checking for them. Embrace masculinity and experience the balanced life that comes along with it. I'll see you all soon.